right, guys, top of the morning. Happy Friday, March 20th, coming to you live, coming to you well, coming to you up and early. I got into the office this morning at 5:15. As you guys know, I live a little bit more than an hour away from the office, so it was cold, it was dark, but I had my first call at 6 a.m., second call at 7 a.m., third call at 8:30, and then I have a whole day of coaching and training. And so I had to make sure to be stationary. So I'm a little crazy. Yes, I got to sleep last night, though, right at 8:45, so I get adequate sleep to be here in the morning. And I also drove my wife's car, which is wonderful on gas because it is a diesel. So anyways, that's my thoughts. That's my sentiment. I'm excited to roll for this morning, you guys. I got a lot of stuff prepared for you because I've been going deep into this consumer rating of our industry and particularly how they view us as real estate professionals. And so I put some framework, I put some thoughts on the screen, and I'm going to share all that with you guys in a moment. And I'm going to get you guys really involved in the conversation today. But before we get rolling, Alexis, I'm not sure if you saw in Slack, I sent you a message. Did you see the message? It was a group message. You were added to a channel.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to take a look at it right now.
Well, my friend, let me be the first to congratulate you for officially making it to Hustler's Lunch. So that happens next Thursday. It is on the calendar. It is something to celebrate all of your accomplishments. So my friend, make sure that you look at that and you know where we are. We're going to have some great food, great company. And it's just one of those times that you get to come together with everybody and celebrate all of your accomplishments and eat some really great food. So I want to congratulate you. But my friend, Alexis, I'm going to have you bring us out on the field on this amazing Friday morning. So set the tone, set the sentiment, share with us where your thoughts are, and let's roll.
Yeah, I've been really thinking about this quote that I heard from someone else of like really leaning into the challenge and leaning into things that you might fear, because those are the things that will help you grow in the business, whether it's leadership, whether it's in community. And so I just challenge everyone, wherever they're at in their journey right now in their business career, whether that's posting more on social media, making those calls, whatever it is, door knocking, just lean into that because those challenges are what's going to make you grow in this business and just help you build up that confidence. So.
Wow. What's the challenge that you're facing head on right now that it's been tough, but you're facing it and you're taking the knocks on the chin? What is that for you?
Just being consistent, trying to stay consistent in everything, whether that's my health, making the calls, social media, which I'm slacking right now. I'll take accountability for that. But yeah, just staying consistent and, pushing the pedal on that gas or pushing. Yeah. Wait, is that?
Yes. Yeah. No, I get it. We all resonated with that. I get that. So I appreciate that, my friend. And listen, you're somebody that has inspired us. I'm going to talk from just my lens. You've inspired us. I love your content. You have a flow, but the moment that you are creating content, then what happens is that now you've created a standard of what other people expect from you. So the moment that you fall off is the moment people are like, well, what's going on with her? Is she not selling real estate anymore? Where is she? People need to see your face consistently. And so find it within yourself to push yourself, to get yourself on camera, to make sure that you're continuously building the brand. That's something that we don't waver from. That's something that is a part of the pillars of you building your business. And I want to make sure that we stick to that. Anything you need from support from me, let me know. And then Alexis, we have some guests on the line today. What can our guests on the line expect from our environment?
Wow, you are at a great place right now to hear from Elias and everyone in this space, in this room. It's really a community of business professionals, of kind of feeding off of each other, whether it's our struggles, our wins, whatever it is, we all learn from each other and know that you're not alone in how you're feeling, what you're going through. And also just great gems that Elias drops, every time we're here, and that push that you need 3 times a week. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate that, my friend. And thank you guys for being here. So listen, today I'm gonna encourage you guys to take some screenshots, or if you could just photograph this in your memory. But I'm gonna take you through some framework today, and I'm gonna take you through some thoughts because, like I said, I've been thinking a lot about our industry and consumer behavior. And once again, there's all kinds of noise and ruckus in our industry. And I feel the noise and the ruckus in the industry as you guys do a deep dive. And we're gonna take a deeper dive into this on Wednesday. Wednesday, and we're going to fully unpack everything that's going on with Compass, with Zillow, with our company, and everything in between. Because what I feel a lot of this is what's happening is some of the companies are fighting each other, and I feel like it's a power move. And it's just kind of like a pissing battle back and forth. But at the end of the day, is this decision going to ultimately impact the experience for the consumer at a very high level? Is it something that is going to be positive for the consumer? And it's not about this or that and tit for tat. And I feel like that's where we are in this, what we're calling portal wars. So we're going to go deeper into that conversation on Wednesday, because I want to really, really unpack that conversation. Also, I want to answer questions for you guys. Anytime things happen in the industry, whether it's the NAR settlement or whatever else settlement and drama that we're dealing with in our industry, we always want to provide light and perspective. And so we'll give this a couple days. On Wednesday, we're going to come full circle on this conversation, and we're going to really unpack that. But needless to say is that there's always going to be something that is going to put perspective in the consumer's mind. It's going to put a sentiment inside the consumer's mind. Now, we see a lot of this because we're in real estate. Well, the consumers start to see these things as well. And so what it once again will do is it will cause them to think differently about us. And at times, things like this that happen in the media cause consumers to lose trust in what we do. And just so we are clear, we already don't have that good of trust with our consumers. Now, you do interpersonally when you start to build that relationship, but overall, as an industry, consumers don't view us very highly. And I'm going to share with you guys some thoughts, but before I even get into some framework, into some statistics or anything like that, why do you guys believe that our consumer rating is low and why consumers don't necessarily trust real estate professionals? I want to hear from you guys. Throw a hand up or just take yourself off of mute. Why do you believe consumers rate us low across the United States of America? And why do you think that they don't trust us and what we do? Go ahead, take yourself off of mute. This is an open conversation. Don't just sit there and look at me. Somebody take themselves off of mute and answer that question.
Somebody had a bad experience.
Say that one more time.
Someone had a bad experience with buying a house and they blamed all realtors for it.
Correct. So we're fighting against a reputation that maybe we had nothing to do. And I love that. Give me two more thoughts on this, you guys. Yeah. Why do you think our consumer rating is low? Let's go, Christina.
I think the biggest thing too is just misunderstanding things. Consumers, what they don't know, they're just going to assume, and that's just going to run wild. And that's where you have to take that control back and you dictate that. You put that message out there so that they're not guessing.
The absence of thorough communication, consumers and people form stories. Okay. I want you guys to hang on to those words. I want you guys to remember that, because in the absence of thorough communication, people form stories. Now, isn't that safe to say in our own personal relationships? In the absence of thorough communication, people are going to form stories. If I don't over communicate with my wife, then she's going to wonder what happened, and she might be wrong. Well, if I gave her everything and I communicated effectively, she won't have to form her own stories. Anytime I talk to couples that have been married for like 20 plus years, my grandparents were married for 52 years. What do you think the core of it is? The core of what keeps them together, longevity. It's communication, right? I always hear communication coming up. And so I appreciate that sentiment, Christina. I think I saw one other. What's up, little Hector? How you doing, big dog? You playing hooky today? All right.
Are you late? Are you going late to school? You say hi.
Hi, Bubba. You're getting so big. I like your haircut, man. So handsome.
He likes your haircut.
He's like, let me eat. All right, Jennifer, you threw your hand up. Let's go to you, my friend. What do you got for us?
Hi, sorry, I'm moving around a little bit, but
it's okay.
I think even what causes that like uncertainty is just the nature and how we get paid as well. A lot of people do not like the nature of how we get paid, commission based. So it kind of like creates of like this distrust, because I guess compared to other professions, the numbers look bigger for us. Even for us, if 3% feels not so much for what we do, I think in the consumer's eyes, it's like, wow, what really do they do? And now that I'm getting into it and like having to meet so many people, I'm like, people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes of purchasing a house. So yeah, it ties back into communication, but also I think the way we get paid is a huge distrust with consumers.
Okay. And I'm so glad that you said this, Jennifer. And thank God for the NAR settlement. Now, whatever way that you land in regards to the NAR settlement, National Association of Realtors, August 17, 2024, the rules started to change. And then it became a law in California that we had to have BRBC signed. But nonetheless, I feel like that crossroads in our industry, it forced us to articulate our true value of what we actually do. Now we have to really demonstrate. We have to show a consumer what we do behind the scenes, the negotiation, how we do a buyer consultation, how we help them, protect them, advocate for them, all the things that we do. Because before, we didn't necessarily have to. If the listing on the MLS said 5%, 2.5% goes to the cooperating brokerage. Cool, I got my 2.5. I didn't need to say anything about it. And so in that prior way of doing business, consumers are like, well, he only showed me 2 houses. What did he actually do? What does she actually do? And so they didn't see all the things. And then we allowed what we do to become more visible and more evident. And we really started to showcase, document, and illustrate this, and actually have a value proposition that we can tell our consumer, because in the event that the seller does not pay for our commission, that is responsibility of the buyer. So we want to make sure that we are showing and proving our worth. And so, yeah, Jennifer, I believe that some of that sentiment comes exactly from that. And so what I did is I put this all into words and I put it into a presentation, because I feel like we talk about this a lot, but I wanted to actually put some framework behind this. And so you guys may want to take some pictures of this. Hector, I'm going to ask you some questions before we head out. So please, Hector, make sure that you are paying full attention. But before we go there, I want to read this out loud to you. Excellence is a lonely road, my friends. Most people won't understand why you care so much, why you are still working when they are done. Why are you in the office at 5:15 in the morning and you have an hour commute? Why you can't just relax and enjoy what you've built. They'll call you obsessed, intense, too much, and they are not wrong. But they're also not building what you guys are building. See, each of you on this call, whether you are an experienced agent or you're an up-and-comer, you guys are building a true empire. You are not like most people. And that's not arrogance, my friends. That's not you being cocky. That's not you being pompous in any way, shape, or form. That's just reality. Most people are fine with good enough. Most people are fine with status quo. You see, you don't get into this game to be status quo. You looked at this as an opportunity for you to change your life and change your family's life. You see, you are not okay with good enough. Most people are satisfied with comfortable. You are not. Most people stop when it gets hard. You don't. And that's what separation is and what creates the gap. And I want you guys to own it. Don't apologize for it. Don't dim yourself to make other people comfortable. You are not too much. You are just surrounded by people who are doing too little. Find the ones who match your energy and leave the rest behind. That's why you come to groups like this. That's why you're in networking groups. That's why you want to surround yourself with the players that are doing this at a high level, you guys. That's what this is all about. So I want to share that with you. I saw that quote, but let's do this. Let's go right into this framework, and I'm going to stop my share really quick. Let me stop this. I'm going to share this framework with you because I feel that, God, this is so important. And let me just unhide one page that I have here. All right, cool. So let's go here to consumer rating, and I'm going to just share my screen here. And then we will go boom, bam, we are in. All right, guys. So let's go right into this. All right, so the actual consumer rating, and this is rooted in trust level. And once again, you guys, I'm going to share a lot of slides today. You may want to take some pictures or just write stuff down. Here's the raw truth from multiple studies, and I've been spending a lot of time on this, you guys. If you want me to cite articles or drop links to articles, I can. But only 11% of people say realtors can be trusted in some surveys, and around 20% rate agents as high in honesty and ethics. So that's not a bad statistic there, but more recent data shows that 67.5% of Americans don't trust real estate agents. And that means trust is low, like bottom tier professions. And that's unfortunate. Realtors are often ranked near salespeople and politicians. And once again, we are building off a reputation that my hope is that none of you help to contribute to, but we're here to change the perspective. And here's the twist for you guys, and this is where it really gets interesting. You see, at the same time, We saw the other stats in regards to trust. Well, 73% of sellers say agents are the best way to sell. Okay. 76% say agents are worth it. So even though they don't trust us, they still are going to work with us. But that's not necessarily because they trust us. It's because they have to. They know that they need representation. They know that they need legal protection, and they know that you are the fiduciary. And so there's a paradox there. So here's the translation. People don't fully trust agents, but they still use them. That gap right there, that's where the opportunity lives. That's where the true opportunity lives. Only about 1 of 5 people trust real estate agents, but 7 out of 10 still use them. So let me ask you, if they don't trust you, why are they hiring you? And like I said, I want you guys to let that sit in. They're not hiring you because they trust you. They're hiring you because they need you, right? It's not that they totally trust you. They might not even believe in you, but they know that they need a realtor to represent them to cover their ass. And that's the gap, and that's the work. And I want to go into this. Why the rating is so low and the real reasons. And I think that you guys will hear this, and I think that you're conscious enough and you understand this at a very high level. First and foremost, there's a very low barrier of entry and there's oversaturation in our industry. You see, for most professions, it takes a little bit longer for you to get into a field like this. Well, we are only forced to go to 140 hours worth of training, and then we have to take a state exam that you could take multiple times until you pass that exam. Well, in that process, they don't teach us about asset management. They don't teach us about entrepreneurship. They don't teach us about running a business, but they allow us, as soon as we pass that exam, to go and help people with the largest transaction of their life. And so it is a lower barrier of entry. There's a lot of agents in the game. There's a lot of part-time. There's a lot of people that are under-trained, that don't go to training, don't go to coaching, don't go to their MLS, and it's inconsistent in our profession. You can have somebody on the screen right now that is consistent in how they show up, how they educate themselves, and how they communicate with the consumer. And you could have the next person not doing any of that. But as soon as that phone rings, they take that opportunity and they would take that lead. Consumers don't separate you from the masses. And that's what happens. They judge the whole industry by the weakest of players. And that's what's unfortunate, is that we are dealing with an industry and a reputation that we did not build, but we are left with that. We are left with that. And that's why we constantly have to grow and get better. Lower barrier entry means too many unskilled agents. Inconsistent service means consumers feel uncertainty. You see, a consumer needs to feel that they have certainty. And when they don't, they get fearful. And when they get fearful, they retreat. And when they get fearful, they doubt us. Common confusion, value isn't communicated, and there's a sales stigma that we just want the deal. No, we do want the deal. We do want to make money for our families, but there is a dedication to this craft to educate you, to lead you, to advise you, and to make sure that we're advocating at the highest level. That's what we do. You're not being judged for who you are. You're being judged for what the industry has tolerated for many, many years. And like Jennifer said, there's a commission misunderstanding. 5 to 6% commission feels massive to consumers when they're timesing that times a 500, 600, 700,000. They're looking at that whole number, but they also don't know who you have to pay, what goes into this business, your expenses, your splits, the money you put aside for taxes. And when you actually dwindle that number down, that is a very, very low amount of money for a lot of hours that are put in to represent a buyer and a seller, which typically takes about 30 plus hours for one transaction every single time. They don't see the back end work, risk, or time. They don't see the nights where you're falling asleep on the couch reading disclosure packets. They don't see you rifling through HOA documents to see if there's pending litigation. They don't see the late nights. They don't see the missed practices, the missed school recitals. They don't see all of that. What they do is they just assume. They just assume. And the perception is that's a lot of money for opening doors. Even if it's wildly inaccurate, even if that is inaccurate, that is perception. And it's our responsibility to change that. Inconsistent experience. You see, one agent is world class. The next agent, no follow-up, no communication, no strategy, fly by the seat of their pants, hoping that they're going to get this deal in a contract, right? That's what consumers experience. They'll get top-tier service, Ritz-Carlton service from one person, and they go to the next person, and they have not showed up as a true expert. Real estate has no standardization of how we show up and no consistent service model. Every single agent is allowed to build the business their way. Now, if you're on a team like ours, we have standards, but even in that, if you guys choose to go away from the standards, that's on you. You're running your own business. So in all of this, that's when trust starts to get fractured. So our review system, let's continue on. It's broken. Here's what consumers are asking. They are asking themselves, are these reviews biased? Are they inflated? Are they AI generated, right? Is what they are writing actually coming from them? Even AI generated reviews are rising, and it's actually up 24% in some cases. And so you have to think about that. Our consumers are becoming desensitized and asking ourselves, did they write that? Is that real? Is that her? Is that him? Right? That's the era that we're in. Consumers are starting to question, are these reviews on these agents even real? And so here's the truth, and here is the advantage for everybody on this call and everybody that will see this recording in the future. The low trust rating isn't your problem. It's your positioning advantage, because when trust is low, the average agent struggles. The intentional leader dominates. You see, think about this. When a consumer walks into an open house, an average agent is going to struggle with overcoming the objection of, no, we don't want to talk to you, we're just looking. What an average agent will do is say, oh, it's okay, right, in that moment. But the intentional leader is going to go into that conversation and say, you know what, you came to my open house, let me answer some questions about the market, about conditions, about patterns, and you're going to be able to take control of that situation. Continue with me. What high-performing agents do differently? And my hope is that you're on this call, you are putting yourself in that category of, I am a high-performing agent, and this is what I do differently. You see, they over-communicate. No guessing and no silence. They over-communicate every single thing that their consumer needs to know. If they have a listing, every single week, they're doing a download and they're talking to their clients. Here's how many people viewed the property this week. Here's how many views we got on Zillow. Here's how we're ranked on Zillow. Here's how many private showings we got. Here's how many disclosure packets we got. And here's how many doors that I knocked for week one. Over communicate. They educate, they advocate, and articulate how they protect their consumers. You see, you guys are so much of what we do, so much that we represent as a fiduciary, and we need to make sure that the consumers understand that. If we send out a residential purchase agreement for signatures, the first thing that we should do before we even think about getting a signature is break that entire document down, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, all the way down to liquidated damages and what that actually means, and Megan's Law and this and that. Every single thing on the RPA needs to be shared with the consumer. Show your process, not just your personality. You see, a lot of us can get away with an amazing personality. A lot of us can get away with really, really great energy. Well, we have to also show our process. This is why I'm a stickler for buyer consultation, to be able to slow down and walk somebody step by step by step of what's actually going to happen throughout the buying process. Explain the life of an escrow. Explain how you get paid in representation agreement. Explain how we make the process easier for them using tools such as Real Scout. They quantify their value. You see, they understand the data, and they share their opinions about the data and their perspectives on the data. They're not saying, oh, it's a good market, it's a bad market. No, they're providing the consumers with actual real facts and data that they have studied. Right? Someone's going to write $1 million offer in a neighborhood, and you're not spending time researching the market, looking at the comps, calling the listing agent, and getting all the information you can so you can clearly articulate it. You don't deserve that business. And then the rating and the view that we get from a consumer, we wonder why it's low. we need to make sure that we're showing them that we not only understand the data, but we help them understand, and they operate like leaders. More on trust. You're not fighting competition. You're fighting a broken reputation that you did not create. And the mission becomes restore the trust by doing an amazing job at communicating, over communicating, really diving into the data, restore professionalism in our industry. And like I said before, restore the dignity of being great salespeople. That is our responsibility. Sales means that you have built a beautiful relationship with your people and you've gone step by step with your people. And here is an acronym for trust. You guys can take a picture of this. That way you guys have that. I don't need to go into each of these, but I saw this and I thought it was really, really powerful and applicable to what we do here, from the transparency, results, understanding systems, and time discipline, right? That last one really lands for me. Do we have time discipline when it comes to all the things that we're doing with our consumer? And also, do we have time discipline? Are you running your business as a true professional? Right? If I looked at your calendar right now, based on the things that you told me you were going to do last week, can I audit you and look at this and be like, wow, he did everything. She did everything that was on her calendar, and she did that with integrity, and she managed her time, and she had discipline to manage her time. So let's do this, you guys. I want you guys to do a quick audit of yourself, and then we're going to shift gears. I'm going to turn the mic over to you guys. I want you to do an audit of yourself, and I want you to rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. When you are working with a consumer, whether it is a lead still in the lead stage, whether it is a buyer that you are in contract with or about to get in contract with, you're not showing homes, or whether it's your seller, rank yourself on a 1 to 10 on your communication consistency, right? I see gaps in the database all the time. Rank yourself on your communication consistency on a scale from 1 to 10. Then your market knowledge, right? What we understand at a conscious level is your responsibility to understand the market, and then it's also your responsibility to articulate the nuances of the market. Where would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? Confidence in presentation. Listen, if you can't sit down right now and give me the best buyer consultation ever, but you'll take that call from a buyer listing or wanting to see a $1.5 million home, there's a disconnect there. Right? Every single person on this call, other than our lender partners, should be able to get on a call or on a Zoom or sit face to face with somebody and do a fire presentation. Because why? You've spent the time behind the scenes, you've broke it down, you've paraphrased it, you're ready to go. Give me the mic. I'll do this in a heartbeat. Where would you rank your presentation? Your follow-up discipline, right? It's one thing to be enthusiastic when someone gets into your world, but do you have the ability to persist over time until that person converts? And then your client experience. What is it like working with you? What is it like working with you? Is it a sense of ease, of peace, of knowledge, of advocacy, or does it feel disjointed? Does it feel disjointed? And if you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 in those 5 categories, I want you to ask yourself this really, really important question. Would you trust you with $1 million decision? Right? Would you trust you with $1 million decision? And I want you to resonate with that. I want that to resonate. I want that to land for you. Like, would you right now, based on how you rank yourself, how you show up, your discipline, your consistency, your understanding of the data, would you trust you with $1 million decision? Because if I'm buying a home, I know I'm going to go with the person that is educating me, that makes me feel safe, that makes me feel, like I am in a great place. They over communicate, they follow up to a point of exhaustion. Ask yourself that. Would you trust you with $1 million decision? So I'm going to pause there, you guys. I want to go to you and I want to get some thoughts and I want to have a conversation about this. I want to know where your head's at. Give me key thoughts, contributions, and insight on this conversation because I feel it's important. Each of us have a responsibility to change perspective and change sentiment. And if we don't, people will always view us as they're just paid too much. They don't do that much. I can't trust them. Not me, not us. not the people that are on this screen. We elevate to a higher level. We do business at a higher level, and we demand more of ourselves, and our consumers are going to feel that. So I need 3 to 5 people to get involved in this conversation. I want your feedback. I want your thoughts. I want your contributions. Do not be shy. Take yourself off of mute, or simply use the reaction button down below and throw your hand up. I want 3 to 5 people to get involved in this conversation. I will pause per usual, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, perspective, and insight on what's been covered so far. So I have Ashley, but I'll pause because there is quite a few other people on the screen. So I'm going to wait until I get some other hands up. 2, okay. And then, so it can't be any more of our lender friends. Agents, I want your guys' perspective and insight on this conversation because I want to hear from you. If you're sitting there and you're not taking your finger and going towards that button, I want you to do that now. I got Trin. Remember where you are, okay? This is keep it moving. This isn't keep it listening. This is keeping it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and your contributions are needed and wanted and desired. So I have 4. Hopefully I get one more person. My question is this, Jessica. What are your thoughts, contributions, and insight on the conversation thus far? That's my question. Let's go, Ashley.
Good morning. So my thoughts on the conversation is that this is actually really exciting to see, because I was just talking to a friend the other day and I was trying to convince her to come from banking, and the bar is really low here. It's so easy to be successful if you're focused and you're willing to practice and get better, because there's so many people who aren't. So because the bar is low, because that standard of, oh, we can't trust because these people aren't putting in the work to be consistent, to have communication, to invest in knowledge that it takes to be the best versions of ourselves in this industry. The people who are willing to rise to the occasion, it is just so easy to be successful and to shine.
Yeah, God, I absolutely love this. Absolutely love that. I appreciate your contribution. Let's go over to Trin, and then we'll continue going on to all of the other hands. But thank you. I appreciate your sentiment on that. Trinity, let's hear from you. Key thoughts, key takeaways, and insight on the conversation. Let's go.
I think it's important to acknowledge that there's been a lot of agents that have maybe not done their job 100% well, and I've ran into that quite a few times. And it sucks when that happens because you don't want to hear somebody having a disservice done to them, but that's when it's part of our job to, as you were talking about, restore that trust. I think I've probably ran into that about 3 times, and they're still in like the soft lead stage, but I know when it gets to that point, it's going to be through me because I'm the same way with everyone. And sorry if I sound kind of weird. I'm super congested right now and I can't really hear myself.
You don't sound weird. You seem great.
Okay. But I am very not pressury. Like once it starts to get to where we've built that relationship and decisions are starting to be needing to be made, that's where I'll say, part of my job is to help you see the bigger picture. But as far as when you're just meeting someone and you're trying to build rapport and build their trust, I'll use myself as an example, or I will say, whether that's me or somebody else, that's your choice. And I think that's something that people tend to appreciate because a lot of the times I think a lot of consumers just see us as vultures because, of course, we want the deal. But I feel like most of everybody on the screen is also a genuine person, too. So that's kind of my take.
Yeah, Trinity, I totally agree. What I want to challenge you guys to do is I want you to challenge yourself always to be somebody that's going to show up differently in our industry. Like challenge yourself. Like that feels like normal, right? When someone comes into the open house and we ask the question because we fall into this rut sometimes of, oh, are you working with an agent? Are you pre-approved? I promise you, those types of words are trigger words for your consumers. They're like, okay, same shit. It's the same shit, right? I remember going to a car lot once when I was 19 years old, and the guy's like, oh, perfect car for you. I'm like, bro, you haven't even asked a question to me. You don't even know if that's a perfect car. I don't want a Toyota Solara. Okay, I'm 19 years old. I wasn't looking for a Solara. But the point is that we got to ask ourselves, how are we showing up differently, right? Have you formed a relationship with the lender? No? Out of all the neighborhoods in this part of the Bay Area, how did you land on this neighborhood? You know, why was it this house? Why was it this block? Why was it this street? Why was it this subdivision, right? And so you have to think about the words that we use oftentimes are giving flames and giving air and breath to what they already think about us. And so when they meet you, you have to challenge yourself to say, this experience with me is going to be different. I dismantle all of those old words that everyone else uses, and I'm so glad that you met me. And then instantly when they meet you, purple cow, man, Byron was different. It was just something about him, the way that he talked to me. It felt human. He educated me. I felt comfortable. I felt like I could trust somebody like him. So yeah, so I might have heard some bad stuff about this industry, but I met him, changed it, changed the perspective and changed the sentiment. Our responsibility. I promise you, if a consumer is in the presence of me, they were going to feel like I'm here to do something different for them and I'm going to represent them at the highest level. That's what I want for everyone on this call. And looking around, I feel like you guys are doing that. So let's continue on the conversation. Let's go Jeff, and then we'll go to Mama San and Byron, and we'll continue to all the other hands. Jeff, what do you got for us, big dog?
Hey, everybody. Well, it's interesting. My brother is an attorney. And I think that field has a very similar reputational, it's issues. And so I talked to him about this a lot in terms of compensation. And, you know, of course, attorneys, I think people don't like them, but they trust them and they know they need them. And it's a matter of showing, and they have to charge hourly. You know, they don't have a commodity. They're not selling something, a loan or a house. So just an interesting conversation in terms of building that value and really building, as you know, the conversation, that trust. And it is interesting because, like those stats you threw up, 75% of people think they need they know they need a realtor, but you guys still have that reputational issue. So it's about building that value, the experience, the knowledge that you have. And so many people, when it comes to comp, and we deal with this on the loan side too, is they don't realize all the people you've helped that never bought a home, that never closed escrow, that never, and you never got paid on that. So not that we're trying to make it up on the other people, but there's so much time and effort that you put into this job, and some of it you don't even get paid on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Really, really good stuff. Appreciate your insight on this. Let's go to Byron or Mama San or both of you. You guys are all dressed and ready to go to the ball today. Let's hear what you guys have. Share your thoughts and sentiment.
As a newer agent, I think just regarding sales, it gets a little, even like with your own friends or family, in your own circles, sometimes it's hard to kind of ask for business. You know what I mean? But I think, and that's kind of like with car salesmen, right? Things of that nature. You don't want to feel sold, right? Mm-hmm. On anything. So I think that's kind of a challenge that you have to, of course, get over. And a lot of that, I think, is going to come from, like you said, knowing your value and knowing your worth. And that, I think, is what something that I really want to work on.
Man, really, really good stuff. Listen, the greatest salespeople in the world do not make you feel that you're being sold, right? They ask really, really good questions. They make you feel excited about this whole entire process, right? They reduce your fear. They reduce all the things that you're feeling. They help you. They guide you. And yes, they are leading you through it. Great salespeople, you don't see it. You don't feel like, oh my God, I'm being sold on something. No, it's part of the process. I'm a great relationship-based salesperson, and there's so many nuances to that. So man, I appreciate your thoughts on that. Mama San, let's go to you. Any contributions, thoughts, or insight on the conversation?
Kind of like how we talked about on Wednesday, like standing out, being the purple cow. For me, like I try to, my personality stand out, one, but also two, just making that person like the center of my world, like making eye contact, giving like reiterating what they were saying. Anytime, I have a meeting or, I always follow up with a summary of what happened and just give them, like let them know that I heard all those things and, appreciate their time. But also that, transactions don't end. Relationship doesn't end at the end of the transaction. It basically is the beginning for me. Like I always try to keep in contact with my clients, follow up with birthdays, they always tell us that, but it's really important to, remember the birthdays or, things like that.
Lineage realtors, right? Lineage realtors. That's what I want for everyone on this call. This is the whole thought process that Roxanne talked to us about a couple weeks ago. Lineage, like the entire family, aunties, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, pastors, everyone is going to use you because you're that person. But consumers, once again, here's some more stats for you. Consumers were interviewed and surveyed, and out of the people that were surveyed, 87% of those people said that they would use their original realtor to purchase their next property. But less than 15% of those people actually do. Why? Because the realtor never followed up with them, right? There was never this campaign for life. And I think that we get into this thought of past clients. No, these are my clients. These are my clients. And what I need to think about is, how can I love on these people for a lifetime? How can I help them look at their asset and see how well that asset is performing? How can I help them help by being an asset manager, right? And that's the thought process. It's not transaction one and done. Now, listen, there's those dickheads that we never want to work with again. I get that. But overall, this is lineage. This is us becoming lineage realtors. Let's go to Alexis, then we'll go over to Marcus, then we'll go to Nicole. Alexis, what do you have for us, my friend?
I was just thinking of this, this experience I had with a client. Basically what happened, I showed them the home, and as I was showing them the home, trying to get them excited, he started showing me his bank statement without me even saying anything. And I was kind of like shocked because that usually never happens. And later on, I find out once we close on their home, we're doing the final walkthrough. He comes up and he says, "Hey, I really had a bad experience from my last agent. She didn't think we were qualified to buy a home." And that really pissed me off, because I'm like, how are you going to prejudge someone before even really getting to know them as a person, getting to know who they are, what they even want, just based off how they look? I didn't know. I don't want to bash that agent, but it just pissed me off. And come to find out, I mean, they bought a home that was almost at $1 million, and but he really had a great experience. And he told me, he's like, "Man, you work day and night," because every time he called, I would answer. So just giving them that full service. And then he called me actually last week, and he said, "Hey, my son is at a league, and one of the dads, me and him were catching up, talking, and he's interested in buying Vallejo. Wanted to give him your information, kind of, the referral." So I was super stoked with the service and talking about the lineage, even though technically it's not within the family, but it's still friends. So yeah, just like, don't judge a person based off how they look or whatever it is. Just really get to know them, understand them, get them excited. You never know. So yeah.
God, I love this. This conversation, it came up because I was sparked the other day. So I coach a lot of teams in the industry on Zillow, right? Because we've been a big Zillow player for 5 years plus, and I managed the online leads department at Coldwell Banker for years. Well, I was looking at how many calls that she had been connected in the last 60 days, and the number was high, but her appointment rate was low. I was talking like 29, 31%. And I started to ask her, she's like, "Well, if it's a mobile home, then I will refuse to show that house." And it's just like all of a sudden, she's just like, "Oh, I'm too good to show that house." And it's in Southern California, and they're in a higher price point, Newport Beach, I was like, okay, but that's still someone's house. It's still their home, right? And it's still important to them. And so what she did is she fed into that. She fed into the reputation. Instead of saying, "You know what, I'll meet you there. Let me show you that house, and I'm going to show you the difference between owned land versus owning the property outright on your own. Let's go and just take a look, and I'm going to build a connection with you and do a buyer consultation." Instead of doing that, she fed that reputation. She fed it. And so really good stuff, Alexis. I appreciate that. Let's go to Marcus. Marcus, big dog, good to see you. Great to have you on, my man. Give me a key thought, key takeaway. Give me insight on the conversation thus far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like the over communication is an important topic. I feel like a lot of the time, and especially during transactions like this, people's nerves are going to be high, and also in comparison if they're dealing with salespeople that have bad reputation. So my definition of trust is just consistency over time, and so being able to be there, show them that you're the expert, be genuine, and make them feel comfortable, give them that like transfer of energy to help them settle in, is super important topic. I think is a key takeaway.
Yeah, Marcus, I really, really appreciate this. And thank you for your insight. And thanks for grabbing the mic and not being shy. I want to share with you guys what Ashley put in the chat. And it really sparked me and kind of agitated me. But she said, my mom mentioned that she felt like she was friends with her agent, but then never heard from her again. So she isn't going to use her on the next transaction. I want you guys to check yourself. And if that ever happens, that is obviously an opportunity for you to grow. You see, what we want to do is we want to build connection. We want to build rapport. We want to be there for them. We want to follow up. We have our group texts and we're having fun and there's an emoji and all these things and you're sending videos. Tom, we just did it. Oh my God, congratulations. We're going to record in a couple hours. I'll see you at the property. All these things. And then you give them the keys to the house. You pop bottles. You do a video on it. And you give them their closing gift. And then it's radio silence. You don't give them a follow-up call in a month to see how they've settled in the home. You don't call them or they're not on a home valuation every month. You're not checking in with them quarterly. You don't give them a happy anniversary call every single year on their home anniversary. And then you wonder why you're not getting repeat business from them, right? They felt like you were their friend and you felt like you had this connection. Well, if that's genuine, then allow that to happen forever. So Ashley, thank you for putting that in the chat. Let's go over to Nicole Penland. Nicole Penland, key thoughts, key takeaways, insights from our conversation today. Let's roll, my friend.
So you had mentioned it, and I heard it on the call earlier this week, how they were talking about the level of education it takes for us to get a license and how in other professions that are even considered low bar professions require more. For example, like cosmetology, I think, well, back in my days, California was 1,600 hours, Georgia was 1,500 hours just to be able to go take your exam. Whereas, like you said, here was 140 for real estate. I think in Georgia, 75 for real estate. But I don't think that the consumers really take into the account that, like, a lot of our experience is in the field and each situation is different. So if your realtor is doing what they're supposed to do, they're taking each individual situation and researching that, but making it align with what the education. But as far as like finding the solution to make it work, and we're having to stretch our brains a little further than what they're thinking we are in order to make things work for them to land where they want to. So it's just interesting to see the difference between like the professional perspective and the consumer perspective of everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Consumers, when we think back and how consumers have always looked for real estate professionals, a lot of times we came as a referral. We'd have a meeting with them and then they would hire us, right? And then online leads came in and, that kind of changed the game. Well, now it's, if someone refers us, they're going to look us up. They're going to search us. They're going to look at our social media. And a lot of times they're going to cross-reference us on AI. They're going to check our reputation. They're going to consume some of your content if you have content to consume and decide if you feel trustworthy and then hire you. You see, we're in the age now where people are not just going to a website. You see, back in the days, I remember early on in my sales career, having a website was your banner of truth. You're having a website. Oh, like he's a big deal, right? I remember having business cards. Oh, you got business cards. Oh man, you must be a professional, right? It's changed, right? I can't just get away with having a cool website and a dope business card. It's changed. And so people are looking at us in different ways. And if you say you want to serve someone, yes, I'm here to help you. And then they go on your social and there is zero content of you documenting your journey, you doing the things that you're doing, touring the houses, educating people on what they need to know about the process, then there's a disconnect automatically. Oh yeah, I love to serve. Yep, I love my community. I'm out here, I'm winning, I'm doing big things. How would they know? Right? How would they know? And so that's why social is such an important part of the puzzle here, because it's social proof. It shows the consumers that there's continuity in the things that you're saying, your mission, your cause, your crusade, and now they can get a visual representation of that, and they could start to decide whether or not they are going to like and trust you before they even shake your hand, before they even get to the home. So you guys, these are things that we're going to go through. What we're going to go through in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to bring a guest on. That guest is going to come on here and they're going to help us not with SEO. They're going to help us on how we rank highest in chat, Claude, and these online platforms, because consumers are going there, and I want to make sure that there's visibility. And then when it cites you and it goes to your Instagram or to your Facebook, I want you guys to have videos that are relevant, that are current. Now, I shouldn't go on anybody's Instagram right now, and the last time you posted a video was 2 weeks ago. That doesn't show the consumer that they can truly, truly trust you. Because where have you been? Why haven't you been creating? What's going on with that person? Are they really like they say they are? I don't want no gaps, any gaps. So allow us to continue to change the framework of what people think about us, change the sentiment, change how they trust us, and continue to be amazing at this entire client journey and client experience. That's what I want for you guys. That's what you can expect from me. That's what I expect from you, and our consumers deserve it. And if you don't give them the best, if you don't educate yourself, if you don't understand the data, if you're not consistent with your follow-up, if you're not on social, you are being selfish. You're being selfish to them. So do your job at the highest level. Be the purple cow, the one that stands out and transcends above everybody else. That's what I want for you guys. So I'm going to pause there, you guys. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being in the pocket with me today. Obviously, your boy is excited. I'm up early today, 5:15 here in the office, because I wanted to make sure that I planned, prepped, and prepared for our meeting today. So let's go here. Let's go, Abel. Let's get one key thought. And then if I could, Liliana, you're one of our guests. I would love to hear any of your thoughts and takeaways from Keep It Moving today. So Abel, one key thought, one key takeaway. Let's roll, big dog.
Oh, there goes the mute. One key thought, just keep going. No matter where you're at in your path and your journey, just, keep putting in the work, and it's going to show up eventually. And like Elias said, no gaps, just fill in all those gaps if you have any. Just keep going.
That's right, my man. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here once again. Liliana, are you there, my friend? Thank you for being here as a guest. Did you have a thought and a contribution and a takeaway from our time together today? Going once, going twice. There she is. Hi, my friend.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for, the section. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of value. So
wonderful. What was one thing that stood out for you today? And thank you for being here.
Work at the higher level. So I think is the best thing that I can implement on my business.
Yeah, I appreciate your thoughts on that. And thank you for being here. Once again, you guys, remember the question that I asked you. Would you trust you with $1 million decision? If that decision was based on how you're showing up, your education, all the things that we just spoke about, would you trust you with $1 million decision? I'm going to raise my hand, yes. I'm going to raise my hand, yes. And my hope is that if you hesitate, and you hesitate for any moment, then that's a look in the mirror moment. That's a look in the mirror moment to say, why wasn't I confident? Yeah, 100%. Right? That's a look in the mirror moment. So I just want to say thank you guys. I'm super, super grateful for you to be able to spend any amount of time with me. If you are coming to the office today, we're doing a foundation and prep session. That's kind of like a orientation style session. And also it's a great opportunity if you've been on the team for some time, you just want to get a little bit more insight on the things that we're doing now, feel free to do that. But Miss Doralee, say hi to the masses out there. She's going to do 100 deals this year.
What up,
say hi to everyone. Crushing it. If you don't follow Doralee on TikTok and on Instagram.
Don't follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram.
But follow her on Instagram, not on TikTok. Okay. TikTok's for consumers. Instagram is for you guys. So follow her on Instagram. You'll love what she does. She's going to do 100 deals this year. She's having a record-breaking first quarter. So I'm excited to spend some time with her. But you guys, thank you for being here as always, my friends. It's amazing to see who's showing up, how consistent you guys are showing up. It means the world to me. My hope is that you take one thing from our session Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and go and apply it. And as always, my friends, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision. And make today a day that truly matters. Peace and love, my friends.